Good day to you, and welcome to another Paddocks Club video tutorial. Today I want to look at the issue of protection of owner information, which has come under the spotlight in the discussion forum again, particularly because of the Protection of Personal Information Act, which has become law but not yet been brought into operation. So let's look at what seems to be the burning issue, which comes up again and again. Can an owner demand to get the names and addresses of all other owners in the scheme? Well, there are two provisions applicable. In terms of Prescribed Management Rule 35.2, an owner can insist on inspecting the register of owners, which is one of the things that the trustees have to keep. Secondly, and perhaps even more importantly, Section 37(1)(l) of the Act obliges the body corporate to comply with any reasonable request for the names and addresses, firstly of all the trustees, and secondly of all the members of the body corporate. The text of that particular part of the Act, that's 37(1), the introduction is a body corporate referred to in Section 36 shall perform the functions entrusted to it by or under the Act or the rules, and such functions shall include, then you get down to L, to comply with any reasonable request for the names and addresses of the persons who are trustees of the body corporate in terms of the rules referred to in Section 35 or who are members of the body corporate. So the only question really is, what is a reasonable request? Well, I mean, in other words, can you, in terms of that qualification that it must be reasonable, refuse it? Well, as I've said, in terms of Prescribed Management Rule 35.2, an owner can see it in any event. There's no qualification of reasonableness in that particular instance. But, you know, the issue of reasonableness does cause some question. Do the trustees have a discretion or not? And certainly the trustees very often consider that a troublesome owner's request for this information is unreasonable because it can be used by that owner to spread his or her views, which they don't agree with, to other members of the body corporate. In commenting on this particular provision, Professor Corny van der Merwe has made the point that this allows owners, bondholders and others with an interest in the scheme to be in contact with owners and trustees directly, without going through the managing agent or the trustees. In other words, this provision in the Act, that is Section 37(1)(l), is there so as to ensure that anyone who has a reasonable need for that information is entitled to it. When we come back to the question of an owner asking for that information, in my view, an owner's name and their formal address, that's the one that the body corporate uses to communicate with them, is not personal information that must be protected from other owners. It's information which may not be public in the wider sense of that word, but to which every owner is entitled. On the other hand, things like telephone numbers and emails may well be refused unless the relevant owner has given permission for their release, because those things would have been given for a particular purpose. It wouldn't be expected that those would be passed around. If you have any further questions on this particular issue, let's deal with them in the discussion forum.